Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? It's your boy Devo, some motivational, back with another day trading spy recap. And real quick, I want to say thank you all for all the likes, comments, subscribe, all the support on this journey with me. Thank you for all the subscribes again. Thank you for the likes, the comments, everything, and all of y'all. It mean a lot to me. Remember, this is just the beginning, and this is a journey from me becoming unprofitable to being profitable. Also, the journey of from road to 100K for this year, and then also this is the millionaire journey. That is the long-term millionaire road journey, but this year is the road to 100K, and so this is all a journey. And I hope all of you are pushing to strive for bigger goals, just like I am, because I don't want you guys just to be watching, just to be watching. I want you guys to be watching to try to learn something and to apply things that I show y'all through my losses, my wins. I want you guys to try to apply with what I'm learning. And whenever I mess up my mistakes, when I come to y'all and say I lost a trade because of this and this, I want you guys to be able to implement that in you guys trading so you don't have the same bumps on the road as me, okay? So that's what I'm here for. So you guys can learn from me and take from my mistakes and not make the same mistakes, right? So you guys can become better because ultimately I want to be able to teach you guys things. I want to get better myself, but I want to be able to get you guys better, okay? And so I just want to say thank you guys for everything y'all do for me. And so let's get straight into it, okay? So today we're gonna go over our news that we had today. We didn't really have no big news today. I'm gonna go over our news that we have today, that we had today, before the market opened. We're gonna go over the news that we had. I mean the data. Sorry, not the news. Data is the economics, trading economics. This is the data. News is like what Trump is saying and what is coming out through the news, right? So I'm gonna go over the data that we had coming into the market today. I'm gonna go over the data that we have going into the market tomorrow, as well as the earnings that we had today, as well what the earnings did, and then some news that we had. But of course, we know we're gonna go my trade recap, and we'll do that first, okay? Excuse me, my good people. Okay, so to start the day, today I had a very rookie mistake. Today, today was a very rookie mistake. It was just it was bad. So my rookie mistake was in the day I was in my 1 minute. So I was not looking at the actual picture. I'm looking at, remember, I'm looking at the calluses in the hands. I'm looking at the little hairs, the lines. I'm not looking at the hand. Okay, that was an analogy I had in a previous video. I'm not looking at the actual picture. I'm looking at every single tiny detail. And when you're looking at every single tiny detail, you can get caught up into thinking something is doing something and it's not, okay? So, my 5 minute. Okay, let me just start off, okay? So, on my 1 minute, what did I have to start the day? Well, remember yesterday I said if we have a sell off, because we did sell off and we were like around here, I said I could see us. Oh man, sorry about that, my beautiful people. So yesterday we had a sell off, right? And we were on the support, and I said if we were on the support, I could see us using the support to rally up, and we could range through these two. I literally said that yesterday. We could range through these two, or we can try to break through and continue to rally up, or of course we could use the support and then break through and then try to break through these or stay in this little area, okay? But I did say I was looking for maybe like a type of a bounce and the support to hold because we've been in a rally, right? So even though we had this gap down, I was saying I could see his rally, right? Why? Because we've been having that. We've been having that lately. We've been rallying a lot, of course. But look, we had a gap. We gapped down, but rallied up. Gap down today, rallied up. We've been having that. Look, gap down, rally up. And that's what we've been having lately. A lot of gap downs and then rallying ups. Like gap down, rally up. Look, gap down, rally up. Knock down, rally up. Gap down, rally up. Maybe we actually gapped up and just ranged right here. We gapped up and rallied up. But gap down, rallied up, gap down, rally up. So that's what we've been having a lot lately, right? Gap downs and rally ups, okay? So those are the things I'm noticing, and I'm still messing up on the trades. So, oh man, okay. So today, I rushed the trade. Honestly, I'm just gonna tell you straight up. I rushed the trade. There was no reason for me getting it. So what did we have? We had this run up, right? We started all the way down here at this 557, 557 area. Came down, shot up through the support. Excuse my good people. Shot up through the support. We had these little pullbacks right here, well, these like little retracements. Then we had this huge candle down. We had this big candle down right here, waking up, and it was actually a stronger wick at first. And once I started seeing that wick, I hopped in. Why did I hop in? Well, because I was looking at, okay, we're still in the uptrend. What do? We tap this gap right here, also using this support and showing that the buyers are stepping in because it was actually a bigger wick at the point. So it was a bigger wick at first. So like, okay, it did an actual like, it just swept these retracements out and did actual like mean pullback, right? Because it's just a big candle, right? So I was like, okay, it's doing just like a actual like sweeping these retracements out, giving the pullback into the fair value gap using the support, and it wicked up, right? It was actually a stronger wick at the time. So I hopped in for 3 contracts, but it was a rush. It was rushed, rookie mistake, and you're gonna keep making mistakes until you learn from them. Okay, so I'm gonna learn from it. I've learned from it before. I told you guys I was on a 5 minute, but for some reason today I was just on the 1 minute, without looking at the 5 minute for some reason. Rookie mistake. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. Support, fair value gap ish. Not really a fair value gap because the trend hasn't really started, but it's a gap right here. And then so I hopped in 3 contracts up here, and then with my stop loss actually at the bottom of this wick, because I was like, okay, price shouldn't come below there, right? Because this is my support. This is where that we got that wick at this gap. So my stop loss was at the bottom of this wick, right? And then what do we have? It was playing around. It came down, but they got bought up, so it was still wicked. I was good. But once I got this candle breakdown and closed, I was out. Stopped me out 96 bucks. Was upset, but and then what did it do? It just swept these lows, and then just turned around, which in the big picture, because remember the SPY is just the S&P. Remember that, my good people. The SPY is just the S&P 500. So that's why it's like it's real tempting to go to futures. Because what did we have to start the day? That's a lie. What did we have to start the day? Excuse my good people. Man, okay. So here. Okay, so market open. What did we have? We had this run up right here, sweeping these highs, touching this fair value gap right here. Because remember, the S&P 500, the SPY is just the S&P 500. So whatever happens on here, this is what happening on the SPY. So what did it do to start the market? It actually came up, swept these highs, actually kind of made like a double top, then swept these lows coming down here before actually breaking down. So this is where I got cut up at. Coming right here and thinking, okay, it was going to touch this gap and continue up. But no, it swept these lows real quick. Swept these lows on ES. Swept these lows on ES before coming up and breaking everything up. And now we got equal lows down here. So now we actually got equal lows. Now we got equal lows down here. Excuse me, good people. We also got equal lows right here. So we would probably get some type of downturn. We're going to get some type of downturn we're gonna get some type of downturn to fill this gap, and then we could potentially get like a little bounce from there, sweep these lows, these excuse me, good people. We could, oh my god, get a downturn to fill this gap and get a little reaction before actually breaking that back down, sweeping these lows, and then try to move forward. But that is going to be depending on news. So let me go to SPY. Let me just go back to SPY. Oh man, sorry, my good people, having issues over here. Okay, so that's where I got caught up in, because then, so on the 1 minute, so how I had the wick, if I was in my 5 minute, because remember, you want to go to you want to be on your big time frame, then scale down to your one, then scale down to your small time frame. I was on my small time frame to start. Rookie mistake again. Tomorrow will be better. We're down. Okay, I'll get more into it, but tomorrow I'm gonna be better. Okay. So on the 5 minute, what does it look like? Well, there's no reason to even hop in a call right here, right? Because remember, whenever we had this downtrend, that's where I was hopping in at. But if you look on the 5 minute, it's like, I mean, there was no reason to hop in at a call. I mean, this is a solid 5 minute candle, before reversing. And honestly, if I was only on my 5 minute, I probably wouldn't have had a trade today, because I mean, it wouldn't have really gave me a good entry, like a pullback into a fair value gap to show me that it was going to continue going up. Because what did it do? It just swept this low before reversing, shooting up, and then it ranged, manipulated, came back down, then manipulated again, and then broke down. But this is all at 12 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So I probably wouldn't even had a trade today if I was in my 5 minute. Probably wouldn't have had a trade if I was in my 5 minute today. But I really did want to trade, and that's where you can't go into the market saying I want to trade, I want to trade, I want to trade, because you ultimately lose whenever you're thinking like that. Okay, you got to go into the market saying I'm looking for my setup. If I don't get my setup, no trade. Okay, and you got to be perfectly fine with that, because your setup gives you an edge on the market, and you always want your edge, right? You always want your edge on the market, because your edge is what makes a profitable trader. Me not sticking to my edge and forcing a trade made me lose money. Not being on my big time frame, then scaling down on my small time frame, made me lose money. And so little things like that keeps me from being profitable, and it keeps other traders from being profitable. Okay, so that's why we got to learn from these mistakes and be better from them. Okay. And is it frustrating? Yes, of course it's frustrating. But ultimately, I mean, it's me versus me. I mean, I see why I was wrong, and I'm gonna show you another trade I had in the day. I was still wrong, but I made a little bit of money. But it was still not a good trade, and that's where I was stuck on my 1 minute. Okay, so I showed you the first trade I took right here during open around 8:45, 8:50. Where I thought it was using support, but on my 5 minute, it's just red candles, right? But I got caught in the 1 minute, okay? Well, let me show you where I took my second trade. Excuse me, my good people. Man, I'm yawning like crazy. Every time I hop on here, I start yawning. I promise I want to be on here. I don't know. It just start acting up. Okay, so my second trade, look, we had this range. This is where I feel like we had manipulation, because look, we had a range, equal highs, equal lows, right? Equal highs, equal lows. We know what the range is. Then boom, manipulation. Then we broke back down right here. When we got this pullback, we broke back down again, and I got in. So you see that, right? You see that play out, right? Range, manipulation up here because we broke the top of this range. We broke the top of this range, right? Manipulation. When we broke back down, we had these pullbacks, or these like retracements. Broke back down again with higher volume, right? Higher volume. Buyer volume's down. Higher red volume. I got in at this candle right here. We started to break down, and honestly, I got in at this candle right here. I was expecting it to straight flush. And where was I expecting it to flush to? Well, we have this fair value gap right here. So I was expecting me to get in at this flush, break down before, whenever I got to the zone, just being cautious of a bounce, right? So this is where like my take profit area was. But why was it a bad trade? Even though I made about $20, right? I mean, I was up a little bit more, but it started pulling back and whatever, I was up about $20. Why was it a bad trade? Because look, if you're on your 5 minute, you don't really see anything that's. I mean, yeah, we did see a manipulation, but it just. If you look, there's no volume. Look at this volume. There's still no volume in this market. Look at this. You're just getting these sudden little manipulations. Look, one heavy, because it had a couple candles that just shot up, right? But on the 5 minute, still not really a good entry. I got caught up in at this little area thinking it was gonna break down, right? Which it did break down, but actually before I got out, this happened. So I'm glad I got out with my little bit of profit and didn't get stuck like that. Why? Because I got in at this candle right here before it fully broke down, and I was up about $60, $70 right here, but it started to pull back. And whenever I was like, if it pulls back like up to this candle, I'm done. Why? Because I expected it to straight start flushing through this range, right? Because if we get a manipulation, the next is distribution, right? So you'll get the flush. You'll get the flush to this range, and it will want to pull back to a fair value gap or, do what it want to do. But what did we do? We started to get more struggle, and that's not what we should get after a range manipulation distribution. So once I started seeing it fight back too much, because we already had this little retracement, right? Started to break down again. We had a little retracement. I held in for a little bit, but then you started getting these buyer candles come up, and I'm like, nah. So I took profit right here. I was up about $20, 3 contracts, and then oh man. It's annoying, and this is where it's like hard to trade during times like this because it's so choppy. The market is so choppy, but I want to get a trade, and it's like, honestly, is it very smart to trade? Because it's so much chop. There's no volume. We're getting a bunch of manipulation and stuff like that. 556 to 561. That's a $5 move. That's profits right there. But it's like, it's not giving you any signs of it going up, Like I said, like on ES or something, when you're seeing the full picture, yes, and that is why it's like I want to go to futures, but I have to actually find out how all that works. That's like a whole nother. It's the same concepts, right? I mean, higher highs, higher lows, and stuff like that. But I haven't traded futures, so I would have to, get into that, right? I mean, it's not like I have to change my whole philosophy and learn a whole nother philosophy, but ultimately I will have to learn more strategy. I will have to just do more studying on it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know why, but I've just been on a serious. I do know why. I know parts of why. That's why we're going over it. But lately, I've just been losing a lot of trades. But I've made a lot of money through these options, but I'm not profitable because I didn't have. Because I was going over my previous trades like from like a year, like from the start of this year, and I'm like, how was I making $800, $500, $600, $1,000 in a trade? And now it's like I'm just losing. I'm struggling to even make $200 during a trade. You know what I'm saying? And right now it's because the market's really, really choppy. 1, 2, I wasn't profitable during that time, even through those big wins, because I didn't have the full picture. I didn't know how to cut my losses, so I would win $800, then the next day I would lose $700 because I didn't know how to cut my loss. Just cut my loss. You know what I'm saying? Because I would want to. No, no, the market's gonna come up. It's gonna come up. You know what I'm saying? And now that I've, you know, come around and been better with all that, now it's like, bro, why am I struggling even more? Well, the market is like super like dry right now. That is honestly why. Because during a hot market, I know I can do way better during a trade, right? Because there's not going to be as much manipulation, not going to be as much chop. They will have better price action, clearer price action. Like, look at all this. This is just chop. There's no real direction. You know what I'm saying? If you get in at the bottom right here, you could profit off that, but it doesn't show no fair value gap, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? To get in at, and when you get up here, it's just chop, chop, chop. There's no manipulation back down to the fair value gap. When it does, it's still just chop, and it breaks back down. You see what I'm saying? So it's just chop. Look at this, chop. 562 to 568, $6 move, but it's still very choppy. You know what I'm saying? Up to 10:50, 11 o'clock, you only shot up from 566, $4 move, but it's still a lot of chop for a whole day. Like a lot of chop. So the market is just very slow right now. One, two, little things that I just need to work on. But ultimately, I'm trying to master being good at these slow markets, because that if I can master being good at a slow market, when a hot market comes, it's gonna be a breeze. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I was going on my trades today. Like, how was I making $800, $400, $500, $1,000 previously, and now I'm struggling? Well, one, I'm trying to force a trade during. I'm trying to force a trade. Like I forced that trade today. The market is slower, so I have to lower my position size and stop trying to force everything, just forcing, and then just little errors like fractal price, being in my small time frame, not being in my bigger time frame, then scaling down on some small time frame. So just little things. So I know I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I know I have it. I just gotta execute, okay? So I know there's a little bit of rambling, but it's all about execute. You know what I'm saying? Just learn from your mistakes, and you will get better, okay? That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so my second trade, I got caught up in here. I made about $20, but then look, we gave another like manipulation, then just break back down. So you see how the market's just manipulating, okay? So let's just go into the data we had today. The data we had, not really too much. Balance of trade, exports and imports, 10-year note auction, crude oil, Fed Treasury purchases. I mean, all that. Yeah, whatever. So tomorrow data, what do we have? Well, tomorrow we have some big data. Okay, so we have mortgage rate, market index, 30-year mortgage rate. I don't know if all that is super important, but we'll see how the market reacts pre-market, and then when the market opens, we're going to be ready. But at 1 p.m., we do have Fed interest rate decision and Fed press conference, okay? So we will have the Fed talking, and then he will come out if he's going to lower rates or keep rates steady or even hire them, right? I mean, he's not going to hire them. I'm pretty sure he's not going to hire interest rates. But the forecast is he's going to keep them steady, that he's not going to lower rates, okay? But we will see what he says in the press conference, because whatever he says in press conference, that is going to move the market, okay? So real quick, let's go into the earnings that we had after market. We had AMD, Super Microcomputer, which are the most important ones. And actually, we had kind of a sell-off. So AMD for today actually started off at 98 and actually ended at 98. So we didn't really have much of nothing. And what did they do? I mean, they pretty much crushed earnings, right? I mean, 93 cents per share, revenue 7.44 billion, revenue forecasted 7.12. So I mean, they pretty much crushed earnings. Oh man. Okay, I don't know what I was doing. Okay, yeah, they crushed earnings, right? Super Microcomputer. I mean, they didn't crush it, but they did good. They pretty much just met expectations. I mean, 0.31 31 cents per share. I don't know why I said 0.31. 31 cents per share. It was projected 29 cents. The revenue was zero point 0.5 billion up, 4.60 billion, and estimate was 4.55. So I mean, they did good, but I mean, nothing really moved them. Oh man, I had. Oh man. Okay. So real quick, let's just go with the news that we had today. So today, Trump met met with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House today amid historic tensions between both countries. Carney said Canada won't be for sale ever. As Trump told reporters, he thinks the country should be the 51st U.S. state on trade. Trump said he wants friendship with Canada. But we do have some good news. So Trump said today that officials from China want to meet on trade and reaffirm that the two countries will have talks at the right time, which is uncertainty, but that's good news, but it's still uncertainty. So I don't know how the market's going to take that. It probably won't do too much of anything with that because I mean the market's pretty much like we want to see it and we want to like have it confirmed before we do anything to believe it, right? Because we've already had a run up. We've already had a run up for the hopes of the deals, right? And then earlier, oh yeah, earlier Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told lawmakers that trade deals could be announced this week, but China hasn't been involved in the trade talks with the U.S. So they're saying this week we could have big news on trade talks that we have deals coming, and that should be going on this week. So right, so we could have a pump this week, and then I mean this is not important, okay? So that is some good news. But Trump also said this. Trump said the United States does not need to sign deals with trade partners, despite top White House officials claiming for weeks that such deals are the administration's top priority. Everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? Trump grumbled during a White House meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. That's what Trump said. So, I mean, that's not too good of news. Basically, he's not too much in a rush to sign deals. But then they're saying that they have deals coming this week. And then that him and China will meet when the time is right for them, okay? So let's look at the earnings we have so tomorrow can be a very big day, okay? Because we have the Fed talking. We don't really have much earnings, but we have the Fed talking, right? We don't really have too much earnings. We don't really have nothing going on tomorrow for earnings. But the Fed talking at 1 p.m. will be a big decision. So tomorrow, we might honestly just have a bunch of chop until that Fed talks. Honestly, like I'm just gonna be straight up with y'all. So tomorrow might not even be a trading day. We might just have a bunch of chop, like we did today. It might just be like some type of manipulation, and you could try to profit off of one of these moves, but we want to be careful. We don't want to just hop in because we see candles moving. We want to get in at good areas, right? Like good confident areas, right? That follow our strategy. And so it might be another like choppy day until 1 o'clock when the Fed talks, okay? Because 1 o'clock, whatever the Fed says, the market's either going to pump or it is going to dump, okay? It's going to do one of those, but that'll be at 1 p.m., right? So that'll be late in the day. But I mean, it'll probably just be a bunch of chop, okay? So that's pretty much it. Not too much going on, but tomorrow we will be back. You know what I'm saying? We will be back. We will be looking for a trade in the morning, seeing what the market does. But ultimately, like I said, we might not have too much going on in the market until the Fed talks, and that's whenever we can see price either pump up or give us a dump. And of course, if Trump says anything, that's gonna pump or dump it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Remember, guys, to study so you guys aren't gambling. Remember to learn from y'all's mistakes because ultimately that is what makes us better, learning from our mistakes. And that is how we're going to go from unprofitable to profitable by learning from our mistakes, okay? Remember, I love every single one of y'all are with me. And remember, guys, stay persistent, passionate, and make sure y'all get paid, all right? Peace.